Hawaii's path into the United States didn't follow the usual script of vote or treaty. It began with an overthrow. Where most states host a base or two, Hawaii hosts U.S. strategic power across large parts of its islands. Most states grew slowly from families rooted in place. Hawaii remade itself through waves of plantation workers, military relocation, mainland migrants, and tourists. While much of America plans for winter, Hawaii prepares for summer storms. Those contrasts explain why many island problems are unique, urgent, and hard to fix. On January 17, 1893, Queen Liliuokalani yielded after U.S. Marines and American businessmen forced a takeover. President Grover Cleveland later called the overthrow an act of war and urged the restoring of the Queen, but political and commercial pressure pushed annexation forward anyway. Hawaii became a U.S. territory and later the 50th state without a treaty ratified by the native government. That beginning was not a small historical detail. It reshaped who owned land, who made law, and who had political power. And it seeded a long-running sovereignty movement and unresolved legal and moral claims that shape politics today. This origin sets Hawaii apart. Most states have founding stories of settlement, purchase, or negotiated transfer. Hawaii's modern political story begins with force, and that difference still matters in courtrooms and community meetings. The islands sit roughly 2,000 to 2,500 miles from the nearest U.S. city. Almost everything people use, food, fuel, lumber, building materials, arrives by ship or plane. That distance is not abstract. There's no road to another state. Moving away means flying thousands of miles and often leaving family and culture behind. That reality traps some residents economically while letting outsiders treat the islands as a playground. Short-term rentals and vacation buyers can push up rent because they do not live with the long-term consequences. Hawaii's economy depends heavily on visitors paying to be somewhere else. Tourism supports hotels, restaurants, tours, and many service jobs. Pre-pandemic, visitor spending was in the billions and tourism supported roughly 1 in 6 jobs on some islands. But that money vanishes if travel stops. Hurricanes and pandemics show how quickly those jobs can disappear. Housing reveals the gap. Median home prices in Honolulu far outpace local income. Many workers double up, take multiple jobs, or commute long distances. Teachers and nurses often relocate to the mainland for higher pay. Investment buyers buy second homes and short-term rentals, reducing long-term rental supply and pushing locals farther from job centers. To keep the image tourists want, cities hide homeless camps and repurpose rituals for shows. The island that sells paradise sometimes erases the people who live there. Hawaii's modern population is the result of plantation labor recruitment, military relocation, mainland migration, and tourism. Native Hawaiians once made up a much larger share of the islands, but disease, displacement, and policy cut that population dramatically. Today, Native Hawaiians are a minority in their own homeland. Language bans and privatization of communal lands broke family and community connections and made it easier for outside interests to buy and develop large tracts. Deep cultural claims now sit alongside uneven political and economic power. Communities are responding. On Oahu and other islands, land trusts and native-led housing groups buy property and keep it affordable for locals. Restoration projects are restoring taro farms, repairing traditional fish ponds, and reviving other local food practices so communities grow their own food and reconnect with the land. These projects are small but powerful. They keep homes local and create jobs rooted in place. Hawaii's strategic location made it vital for U.S. military planning. Military facilities cover large areas and shape land use across multiple islands. Pearl Harbor remains a key naval hub. Training areas and bases restrict access to sacred sites and farmland in many places. This scale of presence causes problems. Lands are off limits, shoreline access is limited, and contamination can threaten drinking water. Federal and local governments fight over who's responsible, which slows cleanup and leaves communities exposed. The Red Hill fuel leak is a recent example of how military infrastructure can endanger water and health and how long remediation can take. In 2021, a leak at the Navy's Red Hill fuel storage facility sent jet fuel into Oahu's drinking water system, contaminating supplies and sickening hundreds of people. The incident affected tens of thousands of residents and forced emergency water deliveries, boiling advisories, and temporary shutdowns of the facility. The Navy and EPA ordered extensive testing and cleanup, and Red Hill's long-term remediation and legal accountability remain unresolved. Hawaii's legal standing and moral claim remain contested. A range of sovereignty movements exists, from seeking stronger federal recognition to calling for full independence. In 1993, Congress issued an apology resolution acknowledging the overthrow, but it did not resolve land claims or the deeper legal questions. Those unresolved issues matter. They affect who can use and own land, how housing programs run, and whether Native Hawaiian governance can be recognized in modern institutions. Each of these inversions amplifies the others. A disputed origin creates ongoing legal and moral fights. Remote geography makes supply shocks existential. An economy built on short visits pushes people out of housing. Imported populations shift political power. A large military footprint limits local control. Together, these forces speed up displacement, turn culture into a commodity, and concentrate land and wealth outside of the islands. Still, community-driven solutions show different choices are possible, though scaling them requires policy change, federal support, and political will. When you visit Hawaii, you see stunning landscapes and vibrant culture, but you're also stepping into a place shaped by contested history and strategic and economic forces beyond local control. The central question is whether the islands can scale community-driven solutions that restore power to local people, protect ecosystems, and keep housing affordable while addressing national strategic needs. Hawaii's story shows that how a place became itself matters for how it will survive. The rest of the country can learn from both the failures and small successes happening here now.